increasing heat, water flows more slowly. So this process was employed in his log flumes, and it is a basis by which we could redesign any new water conduits which have to be constructed in this country. There are other systems which probably could be used to improve what is there already, and that is the building in or incorporation of veins in, so we say, an open channel, which would cause the water to rotate as soon as it hit them, that it would make the water rotate or make a double spiral movement down the center of the channel, which would again allow water at least to breathe and reoxygenate itself and to cool itself to a certain extent. But the flowing in straight trapezoid channels, which is the general system of moving water according to modern hydraulic theory, physically kills water until what arrives at the other end, the point of use, is virtually a water corpse, apart from the fact that it's also been chlorinated, and the chlorine, while it does remove bacteria and other sort of unwelcome organisms, will also finally sterilize the blood from people who drink it all the time. And research has shown that 18% of bladder cancers and 9% of intestinal cancers have been caused by, rectal cancers have been caused by the consumption of chlorinated water. So when we drink chlorinated water, we actually harm our immune system, and we drag it down to a level where it's more likely to fall, the body is more likely to fall victim to disease. So it's very important to begin to employ systems or to convert existing systems into ways of moving water which follows the law of governing the flow of water, takes temperature into consideration, takes the alternating, pulsating movement of water into consideration, because this is a substance which is a living substance, and it cannot impart life unless it is itself alive. So as something alive, we have to make sure that whatever system and whatever materials we choose to reticulate it allows water to breathe. In 1938 in Nuremberg, Victor Schauberger re-examined Lord Kelvin's water drop experiment to determine the static charge in falling water. Victor wanted to demonstrate that water does, in its falling, generate charges. This is a device. The arrangement of it was first designed by Lord Kelvin about 1880-85. And he called it his influence machine because it demonstrated the influences of fields, in this instance static fields and positive and negative fields. Water is supplied through this vertical pipe here, splits, and then comes down, pointing downwards, and ends up with a very, very fine, the finest hypodermic needle at the end, so that the water jet coming out of this is as fine a jet as you can get. Inside this cylinder is a cylinder of brass in order to collect the charge which is falling from here. This cylinder is coated on the outside with paraffin wax to isolate it, so that the charge doesn't leak outwards from it. This is the same cylinder, and this diagonal here is a copper rod which is attached to the brass here and also attached to a strip of brass in the bottom of this receiving vessel. So the charge here is the same as the charge here, and when the water falls through, it generates either a positive or negative charge here, and the charge is reversed by the time it hits the bottom. And so a charge builds up here, let's say positive, and here negative. And according to Kelvin, the build-up of the charge is unlimited, and over each of these or between all this arrangement, you get a negative static field builds up on this side and a positive static field builds up on this side, which can theoretically go to infinity. From each of these cylinders there's a black cable, which is a high tension cable, and these can be used to bring the charged field to where you want to use it. For instance, on the neon tube, and on the electroscope. To demonstrate the charge in falling water, the charge is transferred to the inside of this, causing the foils of the electroscope to flap. There's a charge which is transferred inside without even me touching it. And if I touch it, then it's quite strong, and it'll go on flapping like this. And as Victor Schauberger said, very good quality water would cause this to flap 150 times before it ceased doing so. And the lower the quality of the water, the fewer times it would flap. A water molecule is a dipole molecule. That means it has a positive and negative charge at each end of the molecule. And when it falls, it generates a charge because it spins. And so it generates both an electric field and a magnetic field. And this is why, with a full distance of maybe 2 kilometers or a kilometer, when rain falls onto the ground, it comes with an enormous charge in it. And this charge is imparted directly into the plant when the rain hits the plant's leaves, which is why rainfall is much more productive than irrigation water. These very small, thin jets of water falling out of these hypodermic needles generates a charge. It's really a small thunderstorm in this machine, because it demonstrates that in these clouds charges are generated by falling water, which eventually ends up in the discharge of lightning. So in the thunderstorm, very powerful positive and very powerful negative fields develop, and they short circuit through a lightning strike. The water falling through here develops a charge, and as like charges repel each other, then at the bottom this jet starts to spread out sideways, and the water will actually start coming up again and then going down again. So in this movement you can begin to see why there are such strong up and down drafts in thunderstorms. And this of course is a very, very small scale, and I have, using this device, generated a spark which will jump across a distance of 2 centimeters. Every millimeter jumped represents 2,000 volts. So the 2 centimeters that I achieved with this device represents 40,000 volt discharge. I can only say if you happen to hang on to it yourself, you really jump. There seemed to be a correlation between altitude and the length of the spark gap. There also may be other variables such as air humidity and air temperature as well. The idea is to create an implosive turbine where the water is moved from the outside inwards instead of the inside outwards, which is what's happening with all conventional propellers. Think in 3 dimensions in a very complex geometrical system which can't be described by the straight line, circle and point.